This video is about organizing the project, because a typical Next.js application may consist of different entities like pages, APIs, components, data models, utility functions, and so on and so forth. But I want to explain where is the best place to put them, how we can organize the project by having a common folder structure, and finally what makes a folder to become a page or a route in the project. So this is about how to have a clean folder structure in our project. At the beginning, I want to talk what makes a folder a route, which is publicly available for the users. In the Next.js ecosystem, two types of files make a route or a folder available from outside world. Those two file names are page or route. We haven't talked about route so far, but it is a similar concept, similar thing to page. But the difference is that page returns an HTML, but route is usually used for making APIs. So they can return any kind of data, such as JSON or XML or simple text. They are good for that. So it means if we have any kind of folder in the app directory, it's going to be a potential route in the system, as long as we have a page or route in that folder. So I can keep creating folders in my project, but they are not going to affect anything unless I put a file called page or route in one of them. So let's try to make one like this. Or at this level, at folder A, I want to have a route.ts. Now these two are those kind of files that I mentioned earlier. By having one of these at any level, at any folder inside the app directory, we are going to have a route, and that folder is going to be available publicly, but only the route and page itself. It's safe to have different type of files here. Maybe you have a secret here like this, and you can put stuff here. Users won't be able to see the content of this file unless you send them, of course, to the clients. But in general, it's safe and it's fine to have these kind of files in your project, and it's possible to have them, of course. But what if I don't want to make routes? I want folders, but I don't want to have routes. So first of all, you can skip having these two types of files, page or route. It is the easiest way, but there are other ways that you can make. You can have both of them and also have folders, but you can skip or bypass the routing system. It means you can prevent Next.js to make them as a route. The first condition is by making them a private folder. If I put an underscore to the name of the folder, we are going to have a private folder, and that folder is going to be ignored from the route. So I put this. Now if I try to open this, I have to, of course, put something here like this. I moved the page to _C. So if I run the project and if I try to access this, it's not going to work. The expectation is like /A/B/_C is the route. But if I try it, you can see that I will get a 404. And also let me populate and put something here. Export default function private page like this, and it can be async function. I have to put a name, of course, private page. Now if I try to run it, npm dev. Now I try to get that page. Maybe I can do a curl http localhost 3000 /A/B_C. As you can see, I got the 404 in my console log here. For sure, I can open it in the browser. Let's try. So this is the home page. I go to A, B, and _C. Maybe I can have to zoom. Then I press enter, and you see I get 404 because I have made this folder as a private folder. Okay, the next type of ignoring folders to become a page is by making them a route group. And we talked about this in the previous video, and it was about how to have route groups. And by simply wrapping the folder name with a parenthesis, we can skip that folder from the route. This is another condition that we can have to prevent the folder being listed in the route. But still, this page is going to be available via /a/b URL. We just bypassed C. So far what we could do, if we have any kind of folder in the app, first we can put underscore at the beginning of the folder name to make it a private folder, so users won't be able to access to that directory, even though we have a file called page or route. And the other option is by grouping, by using the route groups, which is wrapping the folder name with parentheses. The third option would be to not have any page or route in the folders. Of course, it's possible. For instance, I can have a folder called components here, and I don't put any route or page in this component. I might have a component called button like this. It's fine. It's not going to be a route. It's not going to be accessible via /components/button to the end users. No, because we don't have any page or route in this directory. And lastly, is to have folders outside of the app. So it is a common practice also to put some stuff that we want to be shared to the src folder. I can have a component folder here as well. It is totally fine, and then I can import stuff or files, functions or components that I have in this folder into the app. That's totally fine. So now I'm going to talk the common folder structures or strategies that we can have in our project. As an old saying, there's no right or wrong answer for this problem, but there are some common practices that developers usually follow them. So the first one is by putting everything at the top level of the folder structure and some kind of categorizing them into folders, like what I've done here. I have created in the src, I've created the component folder. I might have another one in the src. I call it lib, for instance, or I can have, let's say, database. I want to put all the files related to database here, and so on and so forth. Of course, these can have different structure inside if you have different type of components. For example, you might have different buttons or I don't know, dialogues like this. You can have different folder structure inside, and you can have again different folders beneath them, like having a yes or no, yes, no dialogue, yes, no, something like this. It's totally fine. And then you can finally put your file here like yes, no dialogue.tsx. It's totally fine. So it's not gonna be a route, of course, because it is outside of the app, and as well as the fact that it's not a page or route. Of course, there are some naming conventions as well. Some people prefer to have an index here, or they use Pascal case like this, yes, no dialogue. For components and for functions, they use camel case. It totally depends on your team and your way of working. That was the first approach, that you can have all the stuffs, hoist them to the top as much as possible. The other way is to organize things based on feature. What does it look like? For example, you might have dashboard folder or route here, and it can have, of course, a page.tsx. And inside this dashboard, you might have some components only related to dashboard. You're not going to use those components for other pages. What I can do is by creating a components folder here in the dashboard. Or if I need a kind of library or util function, I can also have a utils here as well, because these utils are going to be used only in the dashboard in this feature. This is also another way of organizing folder structure that can work for you. And again, it's totally based on your team and your way of working. So in this scenario, we not only used the app directory only for routing purpose, but also we included other type of codes like components, utils, etc. in this folder. Of course, there are other options, other common practices as well out there you can try. For example, you can have a monorepo project. I explained the second video of this course about creating a project, and those kind of monorepos usually consist of different applications and different packages. And you can put this app as an application in that monorepo, and you can have different packages, and probably you can move all the components that you want here and are going to be shared between different apps and move them to one package like UI. Also, you can have another package for all the utilities that all those applications can use. This is another way of working, and it's good to know. So that was it. I hope you could have some takeaways of this video. See you in the next ones.